Welcome to A Court of Bookish Queens, the podcast where mother, daughter, and intruder dive headfirst into the world of romantasy, sharing our unfiltered thoughts, bold opinions, and theories so wild they might need legal representation.
I'm Juliet. I'm the daughter, romantasy addict, and CEO of Falling for Fictional Men.
I'm Helen, the mother, trained legal counsel, romantasy lover, and here for the drama.
And I'm Melissa, the intruder, romantasy novice, but oh, do I have opinions. So listeners, adjust your crowns, and remember, in this court, chaos is not just welcome, it's the dress code. So with that, court is now in session. Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's episode, where we will be diving into House of Flame and Shadow, CC3 by Sarah J. Maas. Get ready to embark on this journey with us. So yes, this episode is spoiler central for the whole of the Crescent City series. So if you read the entirety of the Maasverse, you can keep listening for ACOTAR callouts. Last thing before we dive into the episode. If you're loving being part of the courts, if you're enjoying these episodes and you want more content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, or why not all of them? So with that, ladies, let's get started. We're here. We finally made it. CC3. Woo!
I'm so ready.
I'm so ready for this. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Yep.
Agreed.
And since we're all reading it at the same time, it really finally feels like a book club, you know?
It does.
It does. It
Okay,
does.
so since we've all read chapters 1 through 10, the main topics we'll be discussing today is Bryce and Prithian. Did I just say that? So good. Okay,
Crazy.
So Bryce completely disoriented in a new world. Hunt, Ruhn, and Baxian in the dungeons. Lidia trying to get through to Ruhn. Ruhn's friends seeking information. And Bryce-Nesta exploring the tunnels below Hewn City. So, with that, we start the book with Bryce completely disoriented. She's surrounded by strangers with wings who don't speak the same language as her. Oh. Okay, I'm just so excited. Okay, what are our first thoughts? This is the beginning. I want to know all your thoughts.
I cannot believe I am reading about the inner circle. Like, it's crazy. I have been waiting and waiting for ACOTAR 6, right? Book 6. But here we are. This is kind of like, I don't know, a prelude or what, but this is it. I'm reading about Amryn, Cassian, Azriel, Nesta, Rhysand. Like, I'm so excited.
Well, I realized pretty quickly that there's going to be some mistrust over here. The whole inner circle mistrusting Bryce and Bryce mistrusting the inner circle. And the whole time I was reading it, I was thinking, I thought it was going to be so great. You know, she's just going to come in. They're going to be like, what? We'll help you. Let's go. And now we're going to sit around and wait for this mistrust to get resolved. So yeah, it's a little painful.
That actually leads me to my first question that I want to know. Why do you guys think that the inner circle, despite all their power and wisdom, treat Bryce more like a threat to be interrogated than a guest to be welcomed?
Oh, I have a theory for this one. It's because Bryce, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Bryce drop into Valaris?
I don't know which
We
house
don't.
they're
We think
in.
so. No. She said that she's right by a river on a grassy
Yeah, I
area
thought it was
behind the.
Valaris. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's what I
Okay.
thought.
Bryce has dropped into Valaris. Not just Perinthian, not just the Night Court, but Valaris. Their most sacred ground that's been protected. People don't know where it's at. And like, she just stepped in through a rift in the world. Like, that's huge. So yeah,
That's
I'd be
true.
very wary of who dropped in.
That's true.
Yeah, but still, she drops in. You clearly can see that she is very distressed. She's talking about her mate. You can see that she's scared for where she is. She's not where she thinks she's gone. So to me, it's a little bit going along with the idea people have of the Night Court as being not hospitable. It's playing right into that. They could even be much more neutral than they are.
But it doesn't surprise me, right? Because when we read Akatar, we read it from the point of view of somebody within the inner circle. So that's how they treat each other. But this is somebody that is not in that inner circle. They have no clue who she is. She's from another world, doesn't speak language. I think 100% this is how they would have acted. Like, Azrael being like, move and you will die. Yeah, I expect that fully, and I'm so here for it.
So yeah, do you guys think that Bryce's sarcasm and her confidence help or hurt her in this whole like interrogation situation that she's come into?
I think it hurts her with certain people, but it's certainly very obvious that with Nesta, she's a winner. Like Nesta sees some of herself, and I think she feels a connection. But with Azrael, Azrael is expected. He's going to be like that.
Yeah.
Very protective. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So something that was interesting to me was how this language question came into play, where perhaps not knowing the language helped Bryce in a way. Like if she had come in and been like, the way she usually is, and they understood her, I think they would have been a little bit more weary. But they couldn't understand exactly what she was saying. Maybe it was helpful that it was a different language. And then I'm not sure how I feel about that bean being swallowed, where they can understand her, but I understand the tool that it is, in this case, a magical tool that helps them all communicate.
Yeah, I would even take it a step back, right? So the fact that there's a different language, like wow, SJM really builds these worlds out to be their own entities. I wouldn't have even thought that we'd have a different language in Corinthian, but yeah, in retrospect, why wouldn't we? So I thought it was really cool that it was a different language, and then that Bryce is able to communicate with them through the old language. Like, not only do these two planets have their own language, but they have a shared history, and that's able to be utilized. It's just so well done. Yeah, I love it.
It's true. It's very well thought out. And
Yeah.
even the fact that SJM kept Amran alive is another thing, because she knows history beyond all of the rest of them, and
Yeah.
she knows the old language, so she becomes a necessity in the story.
Good
Yeah,
point, because we would say that Amran should have died. It was just SJM being SJM, not killing off any characters.
yeah, but now we see that SJM does everything with purpose, and there's a reason that Amran, yeah. But I know that Amran is here now for a purpose, but I still think it would have been fine if she left.
Well, let's see. We still have more to go. Maybe there's more
That's
to
true.
it.
Okay, so while Bryce is navigating this new world, we have Hunt, Ruhn, and Baxian that are isolated in the dungeons of the Eternal Palace at the hands of the Asteri. They are cut off from the outside world, but they have each other. And we get glimpses into their mental state as they wait, wonder, and worry. Who do you think? Okay. I want to know. This is just like what I want to know. Who do you guys think is going to snap first?
Oh,
I just want to say that in my head, logically, it would be Ruhn, but then I'm like, Ruhn would never.
so I agree. I think it will be Ruhn who breaks first, because I have a theory that the Asteri or Pollux are going to discover that Lidia is a double agent, right? And use it to Ruhn's detriment. And then Ruhn will break ultimately because of that. Because although he's ignoring her and things like that, I feel like they're mates, and that's not a bond that's meant to be messed with.
I don't think, I mean, this is my own prediction, but I don't think any of them are going to break. I think they'll work together. The tool that they have here that the Asteri is not aware of, that they can communicate with each other without speaking.
True.
right? Because of Ruhn. Nobody knows this.
Yeah.
So, and they can technically also talk to Lidia, right? I think it's going to work out better. I'm always like hopeful. So I'm hoping that none of them will actually break. My own little prediction.
Yeah, I hope
I
they don't.
hope not. Yeah,
Yeah. I
I
thought it
hope
was so
not.
nice how like the three of them like band together. Like they're all obviously suffering. Like we've read about the conditions. It's like so heartbreaking and disgusting. But they find humor in it. They find friendship in it. They find solace. Like, oh, love them so much.
I know.
And the other thing is that I've actually really liked Baxian the entire time. From the moment he came on, I kind of liked him. You know, I was like, I was rooting for him. I was hoping he would fall into that circle. And now they're seeing the reality of Baxian,
Yeah.
and I'm really enjoying that, despite the fact that he was Danica's mate.
Mom hates
He hates
Danica.
Danica.
I don't like Danica. I don't like her.
That's so funny. There's a really interesting thing that happens in the dungeon at one point in one of the chapters when the princes of hell visit Hunt in the dungeon. A lot of really cryptic things are said, and I want to know what you guys think about this, because the princes of hell say that Hunt was created for a very specific purpose, something that's tied to his father
Yeah.
or his father's intentions. And basically, I want to know if you have theories about who Hunt's father is and
Oh
what
my
his
God.
task may be, because
Yeah, I think he's a god
that's what I
Yeah.
think.
I
I think
agree.
he's,
I agree.
yep. Because Hunt
because
says, I have no father. And I feel like if your father is a god, that's like real high up there, and you could like not know him because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like that's why
but,
he's not a present figure in his life.
Yeah.
But what do we mean by
but
God? Because there's no gods, or are there gods in this universe?
there are gods.
There are.
There are gods. One starts with a U,
Oh,
Oh,
okay, okay.
Erd.
Erd, and then
You're right.
there's
You're
one
right.
that starts with an
Oh my
R.
god, what if
But
he's Erd?
No, like
well,
the
you know,
daddies.
Yeah, like
yeah,
what if Hunt's father is.
first, so this is the thing that his mother never told him who the father
Yeah.
is. His father made him with a specific intent in mind. We don't know what that is, but apparently the princes of hell know,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
He has
But
to
they're
be a
not telling.
god. He has to be a god because it also brings me back to Greek mythology, where Zeus is like the king of the gods, right? And what is his power? Lightning, right? So I don't know. I feel like it has to be a god. Oh, we just knew how it
And,
was the
and
best always.
And there are a couple of other things. One is that nobody ever has ever shown this lightning power before. So
Mhm.
that's one. And then how Hunt and Bryce's powers are connected in some way and work together. So that's another thing that makes me think that it must be a god that has designed this whole thing. Exciting stuff.
So we talked about who we think Hunt's father is, but what about what this task may be? Because I
Mhm.
don't have a theory really, but I'm super worried that Hunt was created for a task that ends up with him not alive anymore. I'm very
Yeah,
worried.
yeah, I agree.
No, I'm not worried. Again, I'm too positive. I think the task is getting rid of the pests that are the Asteri. There are pests in the universe, and the gods have to pull everything together to create weapons to get rid of these.
Intergalactic parasites.
But how are the Asteri so powerful that they are like defeating the gods? It's crazy.
I don't know. I think we're going to get more insight as we read. I don't know.
Because that would, to me,
Definitely.
signify that the Asteri are above the gods, right? Like anybody who's able to defeat a god or at least like put them at bay for so long are probably more powerful, but obviously they need to feed off of this first light. It's just, there's so much
So
happening.
I don't think that at all. In fact, I think the gods, the concept of God, is something that is a lot slower in timing than we are, right? So I think there's a difference in how we understand timing. when it comes to the worlds of God, right? Gods don't have the lightning themselves, but they have to create an instrument to bring the lightning in. Yeah. The other thing is that the Asteri have been defeated before. They've been defeated with 3 different worlds. So it's not impossible. It's just that you have to actually do what? You have to unite the people.
And is one of those planets that defeated the Asteri Perinthian?
Prithian, yeah.
That's
But
what we
no one,
think.
but then how is this like not known? Why is there no history on it?
Well, there was in the third Akatar book. Correct me if I'm wrong. They talked about their world having been ruled by these evil people before, and then they were thrown out.
I didn't remember that.
Do you remember?
Okay. No, I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe you, but I just didn't remember.
Maybe it was the 5th book. I don't remember.
Well, there's sort of a plan in motion, which we'll get to. But we have to talk about Lidia and Ruhn. Like,
Yes,
have
we
to.
must. We must.
So we know that Lidia is in the dungeons every now and then, right? Lidia is attempting to break through Ruhn's mental walls. There's a lot of tension, there's history. I want to know if you guys think that Ruhn's silence is strength or is it avoidance?
Yeah, okay. First off, I need to say something. You said Lydia is there trying to break Ruhn's walls. Lydia is there to torture the 3. Okay?
She
And
has to uphold her image.
yes, agreed. But she's not just there to try and break through to Ruhn. Like, and we have to remember, like, Ruhn is like in absolute shock that this person he's been dreaming about is Lidia. And I think that's justified because she is a monster, the things that we have heard her do. And the only reason she has any remorse right now is because it's Ruhn. So I don't think
I
Ruhn
don't
is.
think
No.
so.
No,
I
we're
don't think
just
so
we
at
don't
all.
have Lydia's point of view. So
Okay,
how can we know?
So exactly, look at Hunt and all the horrible things that people thought of him.
okay. I agree. So Lydia has done horrible things, but she's been a rebel, whatever, right? But what I'm trying to get at is like Ruhn is justified in ignoring Lydia. Because I remember you guys in our freak out episode could not believe that Ruhn was kind of like putting up this wall between him and Lydia. And I could not agree with it more. Like my soul, my essence, everything in me is like, of course he would. He is in utter disbelief that it is this woman.
I think it just shows his kind of immaturity. He is the kind of person, no, seriously, he's the kind of person that drugs himself, obliterates reality in whatever way he can. He also, I mean, like everybody else in here, has had trauma, but he does not handle things with maturity. If he was, the moment that she shows herself as who she is,
Yeah.
he would say, you know what? Hunt was like that. What has she gone through? What is her plan? Why?
No, Helen.
No.
Okay,
No,
wait.
I think it
Wait.
takes an immense amount of emotional maturity to do so.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
do, but I don't think that we can discredit Ruhn for not having that emotional maturity. It's extremely confronting what has been presented in front of him. And if he has a negative reaction, it just means that that's a normal reaction, and an emotionally intelligent reaction would be you're discussing. But Ruhn is not like in the wrong for having a bad reaction. Juliet, you
I
wanted
don't
to say
know.
something.
Well, I just think it's interesting that we all interpret this in different ways. So Melissa thinks that Ruhn's silence is just because of shock. Mom thinks that Ruhn's silence is because of emotional immaturity. And I feel like I lean towards it just being avoidance. I don't know.
But what is he avoiding? What do you mean?
He's avoiding the truth. He's avoiding hearing the reality. Does that not make sense?
Well, isn't that from emotional immaturity?
Yeah, I guess that you
Sure.
lean more towards Helen's point of view. He is emotionally immature, right? But in this case, it would take a saint to be like, okay, it's Lydia, the Hind. Wait a second. Hunt did some bad things, and I like him now, so I'm just going to keep that in mind and listen to Lidia out. No, that's not happening.
No, you know what? Even when I was 19 years old, that's what I would have done.
But Helen, you
It's not.
weren't in a dungeon, right, with your sister about to go off to another planet and maybe never see her, and in a position where you were about to die and now are being tortured. Like,
So even so, she's trying to talk to him and tell him about her plan, but he's not listening. What does he do? He put a wall up. If I was in a dungeon waiting, I would be looking for whatever way to figure out how to get out of this thing, even if it includes some person who I think is a monster who wants to help me now.
I think he's disgusted by the fact that this is the person on the other side of the wall, on the other side of the bridge.
What do you think Lidia wants from Ruhn? What is she not saying? Because she can't.
Well, she's definitely his mate, for no
Oh, she
question in
just
my
loves
mind.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's another thing, that he has felt that emotional connection with her, that very strong emotional connection with her, and still not only the emotional connection, but he has also seen how she's basically assaulted, on a regular basis by somebody else, right? He's seen that throughout. And wouldn't that connect something in his head, that she is putting on a ruse? There has to be some reason why she's doing all of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And
But Helen, I think you said it before. This is a guy who has avoided things in his life by drugging himself, by, partying. So you're expecting this party boy, Faye, Prince, to be mature and do that? No, we know who Ruhn is and we love him
Actually,
for who he is.
no,
So
no,
why
no.
do we expect him to act differently?
You love him.
no,
Okay, Melissa brought up a great point. I completely agree with you, but you're the only one that loves Ruhn here.
What?
We're not fans.
I'm not a fan. I don't hate him. I
Yeah.
don't think he's a bad person. I just think he's incredibly immature and definitely full of avoidance behavior all over the place. Not without reason. Obviously, he's been tortured from childhood, but still.
I think you guys are being too harsh on him because he is a character that hasn't had a full arc yet, right? Which means that he's
Yeah.
bound to make mistakes. So the fact
But
that he's not responding to Lidia is something that we should expect from Ruhn. I don't expect him to be a complete character that should know right from wrong, that should accept the help, that should let him into his head. I don't expect that from Ruhn. I expect this reaction, and
that's
I don't.
that's
I think it's
enough.
fine.
totally, yeah, that's
Yeah,
totally
that's fair
fair.
enough. That's why I said I don't hate the guy. He hasn't
Yeah.
been one of my favorites because of his
Yeah.
immaturity.
He's
But
not
he's
he's not your cup
definitely
of tea.
loyal, which I like. So and now he's actually overcome his hatred of angels by, embracing Hunt. So
Yeah.
those are all good things that he's shown, but
Yeah.
he still needs to grow up a lot more before
Yeah.
I think he's boyfriend material.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
um, so, speaking of Ruhn's friends are not sitting still back in the city. They are digging for the truth. They're pushing limits. They're questioning who they can trust, all while trying to stay under the radar. Okay, there are three things that I need to know. Okay, so we're gonna go step by step. Okay, I need to know things about Tharion, Ithan, and Sigrid, and the Viper Queen. These are three essentials we have to talk about here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what should we tackle first? What do we want to?
How do you say it? Theron or
What's his
Therion?
name?
I say
Tharion.
Tharion. Yeah.
Tharion. Okay.
Therion. So Therion. There's another very immature character, but I actually like him. I know Juliet doesn't like him.
I
I like him because I think he's cheerful. I don't think he's mature. Definitely not mature. I mean, to be engaged to somebody for 10 years, 10 years, and not say sorry, that was a mistake. That's crazy,
Yeah, but he was in a
But
hard spot too. Like it
okay,
was say
but
that and get killed.
I need
um,
okay. Mom, you share all your thoughts on Therion. Melissa, you go, and then I'm gonna rip y'all to shreds.
the fact that when he finally did decide that he can no longer hold these shenanigans, he goes where? He goes to the Viper Queen and then gets drugged out of his mind. That's crazy. That's really crazy. It's weak. I expected more strength from him. He just went to the Viper Queen? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, Tharion, I'm neither here nor there. Like, I like him. He's a bit immature, but he's super fun. He's super funny. He adds light. I'm into it, right? The whole thing about him going to the Viper Queen, I think he traded one prison for another one, right? And maybe that's like a symptom of being captive and not and just wanting something different and wanting to be free, but he didn't realize that what he was walking into was just as bad, if not worse. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's in a bad spot, and I'm sad for him. I hope he gets out of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
am
me
not
too.
sad. I'm not sad for Tharion one bit. He is the reason that everything is happening to him, everything bad. Okay? The reason that Tharion was engaged to the River Queen's daughter is because he wanted to get into her pants. Okay? Number one, immature. So then now, because of that impulse, he is engaged to her for like 10 years. And then he, like Melissa said, Tharion trades one prison for another. Stupid. You did that to yourself. Tharion is just the worst. In the first two Crescent City books, Tharion is so flirty with all the women. It's just disgusting. Like, no one asks for it. No one wants it. And he's just like dishing it. And it's just unwelcome. Like, he's always calling Bryce legs. He's
That's
always
not
calling
true.
Bryce legs.
They do
That's
ask for
gross.
it.
No, I would never.
Oh, I think they engaged too. They
They
also
engage
engaged with him.
fully.
And that's
No.
I like it. I like a flirtatious guy. It's fun, and even with Hypaxia, where he made a connection with her, he never made any moves on her. It's just flirtatious,
It's his
kind of in
nature. Yeah.
language. Yeah,
Okay, it's just
I
he
agree
gives
with
me
that.
the ick. Tharion gives me the ick. Ugh, ugh, no. Ugh. And one of my colleagues told me that Tharion was her favorite like male character, and I was like, we can't be friends
I
anymore.
think
Like,
Yeah, no. Tharion to me just seems like that typical Latin suave sort of guy. Like, even to call it flirtatious isn't the right word. That's just how
yeah,
they are. That's how they are
yeah,
hardwired. They'll give you a
yeah.
nickname, they'll say some sweet things, but your boyfriend will be standing right next to you and he's totally fine with it because that's
That's who.
just
They,
I
their
yeah,
nature.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
every time I turn the page and it's his chapter, I'm like, God, like just skip through this chapter. Okay, so we talked about Therion. What about Ithan and Sigrid? Because
They're mates.
Sigrid,
They're
yeah,
mates.
okay,
That's
but
what I
listen,
think
listen,
too.
listen. But like, what do we think about their initial chemistry? Because I don't think there's much
There is no
chemistry.
chemistry. There's no chemistry.
Are you kidding?
Di-
From
There's no
the
chemistry.
moment
chemistry.
they saw each other, I thought there was chemistry, and they were like, I was like, mates, 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 mates.
I
How?
thought mates too, but not chemistry. What Ethan saw was another alpha that has been captured, which he thought was terrible altogether. That's why he wanted to save her. The
Right.
only place where I thought mates is when somebody else was saying something about attraction, and the first thought in his mind was not Bryce, but it was
Sigrid.
Sigrid.
Okay, no, I
Sigrid.
look for me, maybe it's about the word chemistry. Like, to me, chemistry isn't just about sparks flying and there being heat and spice. Chemistry means a connection between two people, right?
Yeah,
So
there was no
I think
connection.
I'll tell you. So the connection to me was Ethan's need to keep going back to the mystics, to the astronomer. He had this incessant need to keep going and going, right? He didn't go one time, he didn't go twice, he went 3 times.
You're saying that Ethan felt a tug to keep going back to the astronomer because
Yes.
they're mates, but that's not chemistry.
Well, yes,
That's
it
you're
is.
talking about you're
Y-
talking about a mating bond, whereas the word chemistry means this person's right here, this person's right here. The way they interact with each other, there's no chemistry.
he couldn't stop thinking about her. And then when he finally spoke to her, right? It's like he couldn't get her out of his head. Like there was something, there was a pull there. And that
Okay.
to me is chemistry.
That's
And
that's totally fine, and I completely agree. But I
yeah,
want to know, what are your thoughts on what we think the chemistry means? So, like, the two people, Sigrid and Ithan, their interactions with each other. Is there anything between them? Because right
like
now, I
I don't
don't
think
think there
Not
is.
if your
not right
interpretation
now.
is tension or something like that, no, not right now. Mystery. Sigrid only listens to Ithan. Ithan speaks to Sigrid and Sigrid gets under his skin even. You know, like I think there's a lot in there. I think there's a lot between them.
I think
Interesting.
there is a lot, but it's not to the level
Romantic.
of tension yet.
Yeah,
It's a different kind of
it's not
tension,
sexual
and
tension, it's not romantic tension, but
well, she's
there's
not even
things
there
happening.
yet.
Yeah.
She's not ready for that kind of thing at all. She's just like getting used to being
Girl,
in the world. Yeah.
girl just learned how to shower. Like, so we've talked about Tharion, Ithan, and Sigrid. And now I want to know, like, why do you think the Viper Queen allows Ruhn's cadre to stay in the meat market? That's
Yeah.
so odd.
Don't know.
Do you think that she's a rebel somehow?
Okay, so the thing that would disprove that is how she sold Hunt out and the other angels out to Micah way before, right? In the first book. The Viper Queen keeps everybody else out of her area. She does whatever she wants. She is collecting all kinds of people from different houses. She's keeping them under control. And in this particular situation, somehow she knows that they're doing something and she's protecting them. Maybe she has a plan. We don't know.
She's definitely knowledgeable. Like the meat market is a house of whispers. She has a lot of information. So maybe she knows something about the Asteri, right? And
There's more.
she
There's more. Look at the book. What is that?
Oh, you think that the front cover is the Viper Queen because of that snake?
Yes. Yes. It is the House of Flame and Shadow. So
Or what if the female figure in the front page of the book is someone else, and the Viper Queen is the Viper because she's a Viper shifter, right?
I don't
maybe.
know, but she's deeply involved. She's going to be deeply involved in this
Mm.
book.
Okay, so for our last topic, I'm so excited by this. Okay, so we've touched on Bryce and Nesta a little bit, but I want to kind of dive in a little bit deeper because these are two powerful females thrown together. Oh, in one of the darkest places in Prithian. Okay, so many questions. I love seeing Bryce and Nesta together. These are two very individualistic characters. They're powerful, they are headstrong, and they're now together trying to escape below the Hewn City, right? I don't know.
There's a point where Bryce saves Nesta
Yeah.
from the spikes. So and then there is Nesta providing food and water. So there is something happening over here that I think is going to open the doors of trust.
Yeah. Do you guys think that if these two teamed up, it would be explosive or unstoppable? Because I think the latter.
Unstoppable. Yeah,
Oh,
definitely
Wait,
unstoppable.
wait, wait. Both explosive and unstoppable.
Yeah,
that's
true.
fair.
Can I
It
just
sounds
say a
like we're all
side note? Where's Cassian when this fell? Because we know that he flew her in, right? We know Cassian flew Nesta in, and then Bryce is like shown, and there was rubble, and the path got blocked. But where is Cassian? And it's more of a selfish question because I just want to read more about Cassian.
Yes, same. Why do you think that Nesta was the one to volunteer to go see Bryce? Because when Bryce asks, Nesta says, just call it intuition.
It's so obvious. Nesta is a witch. Of course she's going to want to do this. There's that witch's intuition. She sees that connection.
Okay, I just think Nesta's a badass, and she just saw the badass in Bryce, so she's like, "Yep, let's do it," because no one here is on my level.
Yeah, Nesta is taking things into her own hands. Yeah, I'm just loving those two together, Nesta and
Yeah,
Bryce. I just
me
love
too.
it so
Me
much.
too. Okay, let's finish this off so we can go read.
Exactly. Yeah, so exciting. We have so much more to get into, but I think that concludes today's episode. So with that, court is now adjourned.